Hello, today we'll learn Python variables. Variables. So what are the variables? Variables are the container. Variables are container where we store values. Okay. So if I'll say A is a variable and I want to store a value 10, this is the syntax how I can store a value 10 to A. So here A is a variable and 10 is the value. To run this line or run this code or run this cell, I'll press Shift Enter. Shift Enter is the shortcut to run a particular line or code. Okay. So if I'll mention A and press Shift Enter, you can see output of 9 is it is showing value of A. At the same time, if I press print of A and Shift Enter, it will not show an output. Why? Because this value I can store it to the some other variable also. So suppose I'll say b equal b equal to A. Shift Enter and I'll press B. It will show me B values. So why it is showing this, because this value I can store it to some other variable also. At the same time, print A will it is not giving me any value. Print function is the function where which I can use only to print the value. So it is used to know what to get to know what the value a variable is having. So yeah. So if I'll say A equal to 10, so here A is a variable and 10 is the value. So we can also say 10 is a literal. In programming language, literal is a keyword we use to say what are the values what are the values we are storing to a variable are called as literals. So if I'll say next is if I store a value A equal to 10, I want to check what what is the type of value A is having, or what is the type of data A is having. So I'll use type of A and I'll press Shift Enter. It will show it is int. Okay, same way B equals 10 point something and enter type of B, Shift Enter, float. So next comes is data types. Data types. So what are the data types we have in Python is we have int, then float, complex, string, and Boolean. Okay, we'll get into these details. So what are the int? Int is the integer values which are having a non-decimal number. Suppose A equal to 10, that is the integer. But if I'll give A equal to 10.5, that will be a float because it is having a decimal point. It is having decimal in between it. Okay, so if I'll press enter and I'll check type of A, it will give me float because it is having a decimal number. So I'll say integers is a data type having values from -n to +n. This we can say. Or for float having decimal values. Then complex. Complex are the numbers having, if I'll say b equal to 5 plus 7i. and I'll press type of D. What it will give me? Type of J. So in our mathematics, we used to represent an imaginary part as I, but in Python program, we represent imaginary part as J. So this is a complex variable. A value containing imaginary part with it is known as complex value. Okay. Then we have a string. So suppose I have given a number str1 equal to abc. So str1 is a string. Type of str1 will check it is a string function. Okay, its type is string. Then boolean. So what if I'll do val equal to true and check type of val1. Sorry, val. Shift enter. It is of boolean type. So boolean types are the values is having true or false. Okay, but at same time, what if I'll do? If I'll write this value inside a quote and I'll check, then it will be a string. Why? Because anything inside the quotes, single quote or double quote, it is a string. If I'll say 10, then it will count as a string because I have written it inside the single quote. So I have covered data types, int, float, complex, string, boolean. Okay. So next will come is like input. So Python Pro, how I'll take user input from user. So in Python we have input function, so which allow us to interact with the users and take input from them. So if I'll write data equal to input, this is the syntax to write input function, and I can mention it. Please enter value. So why this message is required is it will be helpful for the user to understand what data we are expecting. Suppose a student is giving a form there. If I'll mention a simple, suppose if there is a form and I have mentioned that input function input, then what I can write anything, right? But to get exact data, I need to mention data. Like I need to mention what exactly we need. So I can mention, suppose, please enter your roll number. Okay. So this is, if I'll mention it, my roll number 1, 2, 3, 4, it will take, correct? So one more thing to learn here is, if I'll press shift enter, it is waiting for here my input. Okay. You can see this star. Here is a star. It is showing like the code is running, still it is running, and it is waiting for some data. Or simply I can say star means like the code is still running. So once I'll input my data and I'll press enter, it will give me the output. Okay. So second thing is like, if I'll check the data, type of data. Okay. Type of data, what it will show me? String. But here I have mentioned a number, then why it is showing it as a string? The reason behind is input function will always take a value as a string. So if I want to convert it into, if I want to store some integer data to the variable, I need to convert it into input, integer data type, and then I need to take. Suppose I have written this conversion, I have given number, and then I'll be checking data type. It will show me integer. And now what will happen if I'll take a input and I'll convert it into float. Okay. One second. Student. See, because here I am converting it into float. Okay, but what will happen if I'll give a okay? If I'll give a float number 10.2 suppose, and I'll convert it to integer. What do you think? This can be happen? No, it will give a error because this cannot be converted into 10 to the base. This cannot be converted into the integer like with the base 10. So to convert a float number, like this error means, if I'll say this error means this string value 10.2 cannot be converted into integer. Why? Because to convert an integer value to int, that conversion can be not done in case we have given a decimal number. To convert into an integer, I need to first take it to float and then I need to convert into integer. Suppose I have taken input, I have converted it into float and then I am converting into int. That time that this can be happens. 1, 2, 3. Okay, suppose 23.2. Here this happens and now data type will be integer. Okay. So we have seen 5 types of data types: integer, float, complex